Hi everyone, welcome to the very first episode of Season 2 of my single player series. We are running the Raxpack for 1710, and how I'm actually doing this is thanks to finally getting an Nvidia card. It seems like AMD seems to be the bottleneck around Minecraft these days, and I will explain a little bit about that as we dive in. So let's go. Single player. Create new world. We will call this Access. We want to go to creative just in case I need to fix any bugs because I am on the beta version of the pack as of the time of this recording, so I need to be able to catch things. Loud jets on. Done. Well, not quite done. Raxpack Season 2. There we go. That will be the seed, and that is the world name. Let's do it. Alright, here we are in a brand new Raxpack 1710 world. And we seem to have started off in a pretty nice area, actually. It seems to be a... what biome? A maple woods. That's the name of it. There you go. So, let's do what we normally do. Start punching wood. Haha. That's right, we're in creative. Let's get out of creative and into survival. And the first thing you'll notice when I do that is I have smart moving. Smart moving is a very cool mod in the Raxpack. And one of those ones you're not going to find in the mod list in any eye, just because it tweaks the gameplay. Let's get this wood and then I'll show you some smart moving. Okay, so the best way to show you smart moving is to go into F5. The first thing is you can run normally. You'll also notice when I jump on the right hand side, and it will prevent me from running if I do it too much, but you'll notice on the right hand side that I have these lightning bolts. This is my energy. The other thing I can do is I can start running and hold down control and I'll start sprinting, and that's going to use up that energy as well. The next thing I can do is I can crawl. If I hold shift and then control, I will start crawling. There you go. The other cool thing is if I run and hold control and shift, I will dive. I can also vault over blocks without jumping them. I hold control, there we go, I vault, and vault. And something else I can do, if I can make myself a too high jump, let's just dig out some of this dirt. There we go. If I hold shift, actually no, that's wrong. Yes, hold down shift and then hold jump. On the left hand side you'll see the arrows above my health. That is the power of my jump. If I jump now, it's a too high block jump. Yes, very cool. So smart moving is this mod that basically lets you parkour and move more naturally in the world. You're not restricted to just a run, a crouch, a walk, and a jump. The other thing I can do here is, if I'm really tricky, I can jump and then hold control and climb. I just got up 4 blocks of space using smart moving. And it was all very fair too, because it wasn't fast and it was complicated, as it should be. The other thing you'll notice, I have special animations, and it also improves swimming. So if I go back down to the beach here, I jump in the water, I now wade, and then I swim. And if I hold control, I swim quickly, which is super useful for getting around when you're swimming. And if you swim underwater, it's like flight controls. It's very cool. And you can swim in shallow water too, instead of just wading. So all round very, very fun mod. So let's get back into the normal view. I need some food, because as you can see, all that work with smart moving actually took quite a lot of hunger out of me, as it should. uses quite a lot of energy. So let's look around. I can actually take out these sheep, so let's make a crafting table. That is not how you make a crafting table. That is how you make a crafting table. So let's make a crafting table. Let's turn those into planks. Let's get some sticks. And a sword. And I want some lamb. Yeah, sheepy sheepy. No lamb for me. How about you? There we go, there's some lamb. So sheep now drop lamb. Or mutton, I suppose, because they are actually adult sheep and not lambs. Some textile gardens from Pam's Harvestcraft. But we will go through the mod list and look at those block ones. I still need more food so that I can explain all these things without starving. Try not to stand on the poison ivy. That's generally not good for your health. Also try not to run. It's counterintuitive to getting my health back. Probably shouldn't eat pork. I think that's one of the raw meats that can actually give you salmonella, or is that chicken? Some more raw mutton. So the cool thing is I can get wool and I can get mutton from the same thing. So I can farm basically cows and sheep and I'll be fine forever as far as materials go. So something else you'll notice is that there's lots of really pretty plants around. This is Plant Mega Pack. Super cool mod. Grows mushrooms on trees. Fungus on trees, I should say. Grows nice cute plants on the ground. Some of these plants have uses. And generally just pretties up the place. I really like stuff that adds clutter to the world. You'll see that this is a grass block, but it has grass on it. And these are trees, but they have leaves coming out of them. That is thanks to Better Foliage. Better Foliage is a graphical mod that adds things like the falling leaves from the trees. That's another really cool mod that you won't find in the actual mod list itself. What else? No, let's get into the mod list then. Let's take a look at NEI. We have Alchemical Bling. Alchemical Bling utilizes baubles from Azinor, but it lets you do it in a vanilla way. You create these rings and these amulets using silver or iron, and you can then enchant them by throwing potions onto them, and that will give the rings and the amulets the powers of those potions. Next up, we have another All Bites the Dust. This is a compatibility mod. This one allows different mods, as you can see, to take on metals that the other mods in your pack are providing. As you can see, we've got things for mithril, crystal, and zinc. We'll look at these ones. We've got yellorium, platinum, nickel, osmium, and mithril. I'm not sure what mithril comes from because I don't think I have a mod with mithril in it. Apparently I am wrong because another All Bites the Dust is telling me I do. We've applied Energistics 2 and it's on standard settings, so yes, you will have to deal with channels. I really love channels as a system, and I think learning it really gives you a lot more power than if you don't learn it. It's even more powerful than AE1 if you can get used to channels. Then we have, by association, Thorncraft, but we have Automagy. Automagy is basically a automation add-on for Thorncraft. And what it lets you do is it lets you create these red crystals and these different other kinds of things, these crystalline brains and stuff like that, and it really lets you automate your magic, so without having to include cables and electricity and all sorts of things. It is super cool. It's super neat. I love it. I'm so glad it's in the pack. We have backpacks. mind the missing textures, but backpacks let you, well, have backpacks, and you can have a crafting backpack, and I think that's probably the first thing we're going to make. Probably going to try and make a big workbench backpack straight off the bat, but we'll need to make some bound leather with string and leather, so that might come later. So we might go for a normal one. Then we have baubles and better storage. Better storage is an alternative to things like iron chests, and it's made by Copygirl, and it's just really cool. It has really awesome models in it. You can make these storage crates, which basically they have a limited amount of visual space that you're able to access, but you can store much more than what you can see. So every time you open the GUI, there's a different bunch of things in there that you've stored in there. It's pretty neat, and you can make them absolutely enormous. You've got cardboard boxes, as it says there, reusable portable storage. You have this crafting station for some things that Copygirl has done in the mod, like the cardboard boxes and things like that. Armor stands and flint blocks, so now you can make storage blocks for your flint. Bibliocraft, it's always a fan favourite, especially for us decorators and builders. Basically lets you make all sorts of interesting and useful things, like these potion shelves, these generic shelves, tool racks, libraries. These fancy signs are amazing. Sword pedestals, armor stands, clocks, typewriters, lamps, stools, chairs. These stools and chairs are actually a modular system, so you can design different kinds of chair. Printing press, so you can copy and create books. Oh, it's just awesome. And of course, along with that, we have woods for Biomes of Plenty, so the Biomes of Plenty woods will work with Bibliocraft. And then we have big reactors. This is a mod which lets you build big reactors. They're complex machines, well, semi-complex. They're a little easier to put together than some other mods versions of large power plants, but they are very, very cool, and if done right, they can be very balanced. But I think the default settings, which I haven't changed, so get in there while you can, because I will change them, can give you a lot of power. We have Biomes Plenty, we have Blood Magic. This one is Blood Magic with the Tier 6 altar, so be excited for that. Where you have these crystal clusters and a demon invasion to deal with. What else have we got? We have Blood Utilities. This is an add-on for Blood Magic, which simply adds some very useful blocks, like the Divination block, which is like a Divination sigil in block form. You right-click it, it tells you stuff. And a few other things. Sigil of Absorbing, the Advanced Divination Sigil, which I think tells you a bunch of extra information, like the rate at which you gain blood and things like that. Let's see what else. We have Carpenter's Blocks, always a favourite for us builders, as usual. This is the version with garage doors in it, somewhere. Carpenter's door, Carpenter's bed. You'll just have to trust me. I think that's it. Yep, garage door. Which lets you build these large carpenter's doors, which are over a span of blocks rather than just being too high or whatever. Next we have Chisel. Chisel's also awesome. In this version of the pack, I have Chisel 2. You're currently on Chisel 1 as made by Pokefen, but Pokefen dropped development, which is totally fine obviously, but development was then picked up by Cricket and Trollkiss, and they have been continuing hard at work on Chisel and created Chisel 2, which has everything you know and love about Chisel, but it also has awesome things like these laboratory blocks and these very, very cool technical blocks. So we'll see what we can do with them. As well as the auto chisel, which I think in this version is broken for now, but it also has some very good functions for those that need to make large builds out of a lot of chisel blocks. Next we have DecoCraft by Razzleberry Fox. DecoCraft has all sorts of really cute and cool models to fill your buildings with, to just fill up that space with that beautiful detailed clutter. And it's made using the green crafting clay and the blue crafting clay and the red crafting clay. And all that's very, very cool. Rubik's Cubes, honey pots, barrels of fruit, chandeliers, perfume, canopy beds, wedding cake even. It's just very, very cool. It's pretty much something for every occasion. So that's DecoCraft. We have dense ores, which I have explained in the couple of videos leading up to this episode, explaining Raxpack. We have dimensional storage, which is kind of like Ender storage. It's just a little more modern styled. Has a couple of features that you won't find in Ender storage. And by Ender storage I mean the ender chests from chicken bones with the 3 little coloured wool on the top. This is very much like that, except you make it from these dimensional cores and walls, which requires a lot of ender pearls and a lot of iron and redstone and diamonds and stuff. It's a little more expensive, but very, very worth it. Oh, and the other very special thing about those chests is you can destroy chests entirely, as in they don't exist anywhere in the world and the contents is safe. We have a wooden gravestone over there. That is from the Gravestones mod. We'll get to that one though. We have easy crafting. This mod, I'm going to actually cheat this in just to show you. If I plop down that crafting table, and do I have wood and wool on me? I do. Now look. Everything that I can make with the contents that's on me right now, these sticks, sword, dirt, wool, whatever, it's all here, and I can just click and take it out. Bam, there's my bed. Now you'll have to forgive me for that little cheat, but I wanted to show you. So let's just drop you in the bin. Cool, and then you've got an auto crafting version of it. Now, let's keep going. Easy crafting table. We are on to Enchiridion. This is a tiny little book. You can make it with some string and paper, but it stores all of your other books that other mods give you, like the instruction manuals and your Thaumonomicon and things like that. You can all put them in that little book. Very, very useful. Ender.io. This is a tech mod. For those not familiar, it's got a little bit of inspiration from thermal expansion. I believe it started development when people thought that thermal expansion may not come out ever again. And Crazy Pants has since gone from that being heavily based on that inspiration to taking it his own direction and creating these amazing things like conduits, which are these cables which do all sorts of different things but all pile up in the same one by one space. It's very, very awesome, and I love Ender.io. I've just got way into it. Now we've got these power buffers and all sorts of junk. We have the Ender.io as the namesake, and hopefully I'll get to show that off. Ender Zoo, created by Crazy Pants as well. Ender Zoo adds a few new mobs to the world, including the Ender Mini, the Concussion Creeper, the Fallen Knight, the Fallen Steed, and the Wither Witch, and the Wither Cat, and Direwolf. So hopefully we get to see those things. Then we have Ender Tech, which is kind of like a generic expansion to Thermal Foundation. I know that the developer wants to take it in a more individual direction so that it kind of fits in with a bunch of other mods, but will always inherently be related, I believe, to the thermal mods. But You can create ender tanks which store a lot of fluid, but they're very expensive, as you can see. And these are custom recipes which I've defined in the in using Mine Tweaker. And these custom recipes reflect as closely as I can the original recipes, which use thermal expansion items. Now, we have enhanced portals, not ender portals. Enhanced portals is just kind of like if you took the Mistcraft portals, the ones made of the crystal blocks, and you added a bunch of features to them and you separated them out from Mistcraft. That's kind of what they do, and we'll get into those. And if you ever watched Season 1, you'll remember what the enhanced portals are all about. Then we have an awesome exploration mod, because the Raxpack has always been and will always be about exploration in one way or another. So you are encouraged to get out there and explore and find dungeons and delve and get yourself new trophies and items and things. Well, Erebus is one of those things, and adds a lot of content. Almost on par with Twilight Forest, and it's increasing month to month. So, look forward to that. I don't want to spoil too much, obviously. And we have extra utilities, always a fan favourite. This one just adds a lot of extra utilities. Some very, very useful, some very niche, but all round very cool. Then we have Flaxbeard Steam Power. Of course, me being me and the team that I work with, loving the fact that we're working on Steam and Steel, how can we resist not putting a steampunk mod into the Raxpack? I mean, seriously. So this mod is amazing. Unfortunately, the original developer has stepped down, but it is being maintained and worked on still, so just a little bit slower than it used to be, but things are coming along. You have all this very, very cool stuff, and it integrates really well with other mods. As you can see, there's like a Vibrant Plate, which is from Ender.io, and then you also have Fiery Exosuit Plate, and that's from Twilight Forest, and then you have Thormic Exoplate, and that's from Thormcraft. So they've paid a lot of attention to integrating smoothly with other mods that a lot of people like to use. It's a very in-depth... It's a very in-depth metallurgy system, which we'll get into. I really want to kind of start out with Flaxbeards, I think. Right, next we have Forbidden Magic. This is kind of an integration mod that merges Blood Magic with Thormcraft, and marries the two mods together in a really fantastic way, and adds some very cool tools like the Thormic Cake, which is cake which continually replenishes itself magically. So you have an infinite source of food that is stuck in one place. And we have the bound scribing tools and the crystal scribing tools. I believe the bloody Scrivener's tools, rather than using ink, it uses blood from your LP network. So you're studying Thormcraft using your own blood. Quite sick, but very cool idea. We have Forge Microblocks. Why not? We have garden containers. Garden containers is so neat, and I really want to do a spotlight on this one later, actually. It basically lets you create very, very detailed and cute little compact gardens. They don't even have to be compact, but the idea really is that you can create these wonderful gardens. And you also have these decorative flower pots which you can put flowers in, and you don't have to make them out of micro blocks, and it's just very cool. And these like window boxes and things, it's delicious. It's so wonderful. And then we have Garden Core, that's also part of the Garden Containers mod. And same with Garden Trees. So these three mods are all part of the same thing, really. You can install them individually and use them individually, but really, why do that when you can have all three together? And then we have the Gravestone mod. This adds a lot of detail to your world, rather morbid detail, but fun detail. So you can like go into these mausoleums, which are these huge dungeons, and those dungeons have lots of loot and things, and at the very end you fight the Wither. So rather than building the Wither, you go and you fight the Wither. In the very bottom of this scary, creepy mausoleum filled with the undead. But also, on a more aesthetic note, it lets you kind of pay homage to the dead. You can build gravestones, and you can just have that kind of bit of real life with you. Like this doggy here was buried. If I right click, it said he drowned. So somebody has made a grave to a dog. And yes, if I was gross and dug under this, then I would find the bones of that pup. So I'm not going to do that. Then we have Growthcraft, and all of the different modules for Growthcraft, and I'm really going to get into this one. But basically, it's really in depth. You can turn a lot of things into alcohol. You can grow rice. You can use the rice in recipes because we've got Pam's Harvestcraft. You can grow grapes. You can grow apple trees and things like that. It's very aesthetic, and I'm looking really forward to decorating my my base with Growthcraft. Next up, we have Headcrumbs. Headcrumbs is a kind of trophy mod. You can basically kill any mob in the game, including those from mods, and it will eventually have the chance, much like the skeleton or the zombie or the wither skeleton in vanilla Minecraft, to drop their head as a trophy. So as you can see, you've got the Twilight Forest mobs in here. You have the Thormic mobs in here. You even have the Thermal Expansion mob in here. And a bunch of others. So you also have all the player heads, so players can have their heads. Hello, zombie. Hi, how you doing? I'm glad you're burning up. And you're still not dead. Wow. There might be a dungeon under there actually, by the amount of zombies that I can see on the minimap. So I'm just gonna go this direction. I believe that's a witch's hut. Let's go visit the witch. And then I'll continue talking about mods. Hello, witch. Don't mind me, I'm just taking your apples. Right, where were we? Headcrumbs. And after Headcrumbs we have Jabber. Always a useful mod. Barrel mod. Basically lets you store loads and loads of a single item in a barrel. If you're not familiar with barrel mods, there's 3 variants, and I believe the first one to really do barrels was Factorization. Then we have Mechanism, another tech mod, one that I really love. You can get up to 5 times ore processing in Mechanism. Whoever needs that much resources, probably not me, probably not anyone really, but it's fun doing the whole system. It's just a load of fun to do the entire system because it's so in depth. It's quite complicated, but very enjoyable to build. And those that were watching me in Season 1, I went all the way to Tier 5. So we will probably be doing that all over again at some point. Oh, and then we have the beautiful mod Minecraft. Look at all these wonderful things. We have open computers. I personally am a fan of open computers versus computer craft. I just think that open computers is more actively developed and has a little more that goes along with my taste in that whole situation. It has much the same ability. I don't actually think one is better than the other, but it just I like this one a lot. And there's hologram projectors. Why would you not want hologram projectors? Open computers, by the way, if you don't know, it lets you code in-game quite complicated tasks and things, and have the computer blocks carry those out. You literally build a computer like a desktop using these chassis, these computer cases. You put parts in them, you build the parts, and then you code stuff for that computer. And then you have the computer carry out those tasks. It's very cool. We might use that in conjunction with big reactors to have our big reactor provide us with all the information we possibly can, as well as automatically control its usage. That's the goal anyway. Let's see what else we've got. Pam's Harvestcraft, already talked about that one. This one lets you create a lot of very, very cool food to eat, like carrot cake and cheesecake and cherry cake and pineapple upside down cake and chocolate sprinkle cake and red velvet cake and lamington and pavlova and holiday cake. And they all have their recipes, although I can't access the cake recipes for some reason. But they also have these things like these clay jugs and stuff, which are like cauldrons that actually never run out of the water that's in them. Thank the gods above for that. We have a market. I'm not sure what a market does, but it sounds cool. And then we just have pages and pages of food. Delicious food, like watermelon jelly sandwich, or delighted meal, which looks like chips and burger to me, or banana split, or powdered donut. You know, just excessive amounts of delicious food. Plant mega pack, just to give you an idea of all the plants that are in this pack. There you go. Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. Stuff forever. And most of this grows in world. And if I find a village, you'll find these plants hanging on the walls and things. And let's just try and speed this along, shall we? This episode is literally, this is all it's going to be, by the way. Project Red. I really like Project Red. Project Blue is upcoming. Blue Power. That's an upcoming one of a similar vein. It takes a lot of the things that people liked about Red Power, but since that stopped development, Project Red and Blue Power have taken over that kind of thing, and Red Power I like the most so far. Blue Power still needs some work, because it's very heavily in alpha, so we'll see if my opinion changes later on. But for right now, the pack is using Project Red, because we can rely on it. But it lets you do all sorts of cool in-world redstone and transmission and illumination. It's beautiful. Railcraft. Railcraft for fancy carts and rails, and now we can have force tracks. I think. I can't see any recipes for that, but apparently we can. Maybe there's a block or something. Trade station. Yeah, there it is. Force track emitter. Cool. Requires a diamond block. It's expensive. But it just lets you make very, very cool trains and things, and you can correctly direct them using signal blocks and things that you would find in real life train environments. Moving on, we have Remote I/O. Remote I/O is one that I really like. Think about ender chests and ender tanks, and then apply that to power and information and interaction. So like I can have let's see, give me that, thank you. Ground wool is a machine, right? And it's a furnace, and on top you'd have a hopper, on the side you'd have another hopper, I think, and underneath you'd have a hopper extracting the stuff. Well, with Remote I/O, you can have the furnace sitting there just completely disconnected from something, but then have an I/O block behind the scenes, hidden somewhere, that has the hopper on top, the hopper on the side, and the hopper underneath, and it will interact with this furnace as if the furnace had a hopper on top, on the side, and underneath, but it has none of those things, because that block is handling all the things that this block does. But because the coal comes in the top, it actually comes in the top on this block, because the what you want to smelt comes in the side, goes in the inventory in the side of the furnace, and the output of this comes out the bottom and into the hopper underneath this block. So that's a very basic and very quick description of remote I/O, but I think it gives you an idea of the kind of power it can provide. Looking very forward to using that. And you would use this remote interface to do that. So let's keep going. We have Steve's Factory Manager. Another one of those things. This one, if you have problems learning to code, if you think coding is boring, if you just look at a whole bunch of code on screen and your brain can't handle it, then Steve's Factory Manager is for you. If you want to get into advanced automation but you don't want to learn to code, Steve's Factory is fantastic. It's a general user interface coding interface. I think there's a better way of describing that. There's an industry term, but I'm not quite sure what that is. And its ease of use is brilliant, and I can't wait to show it off, because it is very, very powerful and very, very simple to use, and it makes a lot of sense, especially to those people who are dyslexic or have trouble figuring out the ideas that code tries to communicate, but only tries to communicate those through text, if you know what I mean. This has arrows and links and blocks and things that all describe everything that's going on and what's going to happen, and you can all just see it at a glance. It's wonderful for visual people like us. Then we have Steve's Workshop, which, if you remember, in Season 1 there was a block that I liked. It was called the something or other table. I can't remember it now, but it was an advanced crafting table. You could have chests connected to it, and you could program chips to do things. Well, this is kind of like that. This is an unnamed block, and you should report it to the mod author. Actually, no, that's the workshop block, and I'm not sure what's going on there, but I'll have to report it to the mod author, apparently. Or update or downgrade or something like that. But basically you can turn this into 4 furnaces, 4 crafting tables, 2 crafting tables, 2 furnaces, 1 crafting table, 3 furnaces. Well, it's pretty cool. 1 crafting table, 1 furnace, and 2 inventories. That's pretty neat. Moving right along, we have Thaumcraft. Right, well, of course we have Thaumcraft, because we have Forbidden Magic, and I don't want those lamps. Let me just solve that. Inventory, please put me in recipe mode, thank you very much. So now when I click on something accidentally, it'll just... Hey! Global. Inventory. Recipe mode. Thanks. Now when I click on something? Yeah, cool. Alright. But Thaumcraft. I don't really need to say more, I don't think. This is the version of Thaumcraft which allows us to go into the Outer Lands. Bum bum bum. The Outer Lands are very cool. I've been checking out the Outer Lands on Forgecraft, and I am excited to bring them to you. We have Thaumic Tinkerer and Thaumic Exploration. We actually have quite a few mods for Thaumcraft. We also have the Thaumcraft NEI plugin. It's super useful. I don't know anything yet because I don't have anything learned in my Thaumonomicon, but see, I can hit R on these and it'll tell me what they're used in, etc. So it's very, very, very cool. Thaumic Exploration, another add-on mod. This one adds very cool things like the Everfull Urn is a ever popular one, and the Oblivion Jar, another very popular one, and these red binding seals, which basically they end a chest Thaumcraft inventories. So you can have 2 jars bound in different parts of the world, and they will both store the same amount of essentia in them. We have Thormic Tinkerer, the ever-loved Kami, the Talisman of Remedium, the Thormic Restorer. All of those are very popular items, and we'll get into some of those. We have Firelanders. Firelanders is kind of like just more ender mobs. We're finally getting into nighttime. I love this 4 times day and night cycle. It's wonderful. I want to go to sleep. There we go. Thank you. Very long days, very long nights. So we'll make sure it's daytime. No, I think you're confused, game. Let's try that again. That seems better. Alright. Maybe that's a bug with too much time. You only sleep for a certain amount of time, but too much time is a lot longer than that. Alright. Where were we? Thormic Tinker, Firelanders, adds ender mobs to the world. It's very cool. Kitchen mod. You can make sandwiches, modular sandwiches. I kind of put it in there because I think it's very, very cool, but also just to kind of show it off, and I just love everything about it. It's such a little mod, but it's so fun. The Twilight Forest. Better to be seen than explained. It's kind of like Erebus. It's a very, very exploration-heavy mod. We'll be doing Twilight Forest and enjoying that. We have Thermal Foundation as the back end for a lot of our ores and things in the world, and controlling the distribution and what have you. Then we have Tubes, which once again, one of those mods that take one of those bits from Red Power that were really, really popular and then improves on it. So Tubes takes the pneumatic system and improves on that. I really do like Tubes. Then we have the Wild Caves. Always loved Wild Caves. Adds a lot of detail and interesting things to the world once you go spelunking. Makes caves more interesting. Then we have Witchery. It's another magic mod. Adds a lot of potions and whatever that thing is that they say in Macbeth, the witches around the cauldron, you know, that kind of witch. Boil, toil and trouble, I think. Is that the... yeah, whatever. But you can make these urns, and there's poppets, which are like voodoo dolls. You can make these dream cat... no, those aren't the dream catchers. You can make the dream catchers, you can make potions and brews, and you can have familiars and a broomstick, and it's really cool. You can even be a witch hunter if you want to be. And then finally, on this list, we have Ye Gamel Chattels. This is a kind of hidden mod, hidden gem. Not a lot of people are into it yet, and I'm hoping it gets a lot more exposure. But it's another one of those detail mods. And it adds very, very cool stuff like flags, large banners, small banners, gongs, pedestals, very awesome Jamian shelf, snow globe which displays the world around it, piles of gold, flax, loot chest, and one of the coolest things about it is it does this all through a carpentry system. And the carpentry system is really, really neat. And I can't wait to show it off. It's going to be really fun. Trust me. So, that's all for episode 1. I know it was a lot of rambling and me explaining mods and things. Next episode, we're going to find a place to live. and just kind of set up the base, think about what we want to build, because of course one of the main attractions of my series, I like to think, is thinking about the aesthetics and building something really beautiful and enjoying Minecraft as a game at the same time and adventuring. So, next episode, we're going to go find a place to live. We're going to think about what kind of style of base we want to put there. Last season it was a dwarven fortress. It was under the ground. It was dark, dank. I think I want to move away from the dark and dank and move to something very bright, open, fancy, beautiful, like a giant mansion or something like that. So let's get thinking about that stuff, and I will see you next episode. Bye bye.